Good morning, welcome to Scott's Garden. Today I just wanted to give you a look around the garden, see how it's going. It's mid-July and some of the crops are done and others are still on their way. So I'll show you, here's the trellis system with T-posts that I built based on a Mittleider garden method. And I'm growing peas that you shell, and I have 2 rows of them growing up, the vining kind, and I've been able to get about 4 quarts of peas off of there. The family's done, they don't want any more, and so I'm going to take those off today. And then on the left you can see the artichoke. This is the artichoke that came back from last year. It's growing very well, although the flowers, the edible part, are a little on the small side. There you go. We've already eaten about 4 of them and expect to get a few more this year. And I'll show you some that I planted this year. To be able to use this space wisely, I have chosen to do mixed crops inside my boxes, and so you can see I have marigold flowers to get a little bit of beauty, as well as get the advantage of having those near some of the plants such as tomatoes. So you can see here, or you can sort of see here, and you'll see it better once I get the peas out of the way. I have a tomato plant there. I have one growing big there, and I have one over here. And this, once I take those down, I think they'll start taking off growing. Here's from another angle in the garden. You can see right in here I have a long row of a box that is about 16 feet long, 3 foot wide, and it's full of different kinds of strawberries, as well as right here, this first half is also strawberries. I've been able to get at least a bushel of strawberries off of these June bears, and they're pretty much done for the year. I'll go back to here where the artichokes are, and I'll bring you a little closer look to see how I've used my space in this area. So you can see my dill is about ready to pick and be ready for the pickles. I probably grew that a little too early because the pickles aren't on. You can see I have some cilantro that I've let go to seed. We just weren't using it, and I just wanted to see the flowers. So going down inside the box, you can see I've planted right there, as well as there's some being hidden by the, whoops, over here. And then back in there are my new artichoke plants. They need to get a little bit more sun. I do have in between all this some volunteer potatoes that came up that I didn't plant. I just must have missed some in the garden, so they're growing all over the place. Down here on the front, you can see I've tried to use this space with some small peppers, the thin long yellow ones, and I've picked a dozen or more of those, and been able to use those in salads and other things. Now we'll talk about the metal trellis that I'm using, and you can see down on the left down into here, as well as this long thing, are 2 different kinds of squash. The tall one is a sweet meat, and so I'll grow that up and grow it onto the trellis next to it and keep that growing. Then right in here, if you can see that, I have a cucumber that will grow as high as the fence or the trellis and be able to get the cucumbers off of there. Here you can see I have some pickling cucumbers that are growing maybe not getting quite enough sun, and we'll take that as a learning lesson to not plant quite as much together. But I'll show you what I have been working on, and we'll see. We're just seeing how it works this year. Here we are on the other side of the sweetmeat, and I have H19 pickle or a cucumber growing that will grow the long, skinny, seedless cucumbers. So then again in here, I have quite a mixture. Doing the square foot type of gardening, I have in the middle broccoli, a couple different kinds that are growing. This one that has the really tight ends on it, and this kind has a lot bigger heads, and some of that is getting a little old. I've already clipped off some and eaten it. Over here I have a couple varieties of cabbage. This late cabbage is really taking up a lot of room, so I don't think I'm going to plant late cabbage next year. So coming back, I have 3 rows of Brussels sprouts, and again, just to test this year to see how close I could grow them together, I'm growing them about a foot apart. Probably need more room, but we'll see how those go. Next, I have over here in pots. I decided to do pots because green peppers don't like a lot of water. Their feet like to be dry. So I planted them in buckets so that I can control the watering a little bit better. I've also had a plant it's kind of a volunteer. I must have dropped a seed of some kind of squash, and we'll see how that turns out. I also in the back didn't have enough room but had an extra small cabbage plant, and I put that into this bucket. You can see the 3 tomato plants. I'm growing them separate with a cage around it, and their blossoms are growing. Here's the area of the garden. Here's from the back side of the garden, and as you can see, I'm doing a little bit more traditional with the big leafing plants, the pumpkins. And so I have 3 different varieties of pumpkins along here. I don't remember which ones are which, but I have small pumpkins, medium-sized pumpkins, and very large pumpkins. And I'm going to let them vine throughout the rest of the yard over here, as well as I mixed in 1 cabbage. And so we'll see how that goes. It's like I said, you can see the back of the peas, and I'll go take a look at the middle row of the peas. Also, you can see I tried to do the upside down plantings with tomatoes, and that did not work out for me, and they're pretty much gone. So here's the second row of peas, and as I said, I'm going to get rid of them, although I could harvest quite a bit more peas from them. Since I was doing mixed gardening, I need to give the other plants time to grow now, and we're kind of tired of the peas. So I have many different kinds. On the very far end, I have acorn squash. In here in the middle, the next set of, or the next plant, over here is a butternut, and then over here is a Hubbard, and then over here is one that's called a Peter Pan. And as they grow throughout the summer, I'll show you what those look like once the plants get there. Off here to the side is where I plant my zucchini. They should have been full grown by this time of year. Unfortunately, they died off, and I have replanted, and we'll see if we can still get some zucchinis this year. Okay, here's the other side of the first trellis in the first box, and on the far side, the tall cucumber plant is another H19 long, skinny cucumber. And then on the front, on this side, I planted the sweet cucumbers, like the straight 8, that is your more typical cucumber for eating. Next to it, I have mint. Mint will take over your garden if you don't take care of it. I've already taken off the top parts of the plants a few times. You can use this in salads, in teas, and things like that. Next to it, in the other parts, I have my basil growing there on the left, and then I have some more cilantro on the right. Again, you need to keep using it to keep it growing. Then, let's make sure you can see that. In the middle here, I've grown my beans, my Blue Lake beans. The ones in the front grew from my first planting, and I had to replant. So the ones farther behind in the back are all farther behind because I had to replant. Then over here, the flowers unfortunately are dead. I'm going to have to take those off today. Just haven't had time. The ones on the left that are just starting to flower is, so on the left, those are cloves of garlic growing. I've harvested a few. They were a little on the small side, and just growing those for fun. Again, on the right is a bunch of chive that has flowered. Again, time to cut off all those flowers. It's been pretty. Here on the back half, I have some more cilantro. I have my green onions, and then I have my spinach. And I take a little closer look at the spinach. Some of it's getting a lot crinkly. A lot of your leafing plants that you eat the leaves, you can cut back to about 1 inch tall and they'll come back. This spinach I have grown about, this is on its 4th time, so it's getting a little old. But the first 3 times, big beautiful leaves of spinach, and it's been great to have in the salad. In the back over here, I have some romaine leaf lettuce, a little close together, but it's been good. Again, you can chop that off and it should grow back. On the right, is some chard, and I've clipped it off, and let's see if it comes back. Some of these empty spots were where I had some spinach and the plants weren't looking good, so I'd already picked them up. In the back, I have my carrot box again, growing like the square foot gardening, growing them very close together in rows. We'll show you how those turn out. They usually turn out very well. You plant them, then come in and thin them to 1 inch to 1.5 inches apart, and have a deep, soft soil where they can grow long, and that's doing very well. Here you can see I also have some strawberries. I planted 2 new kinds last year. One is the big giant teacup strawberries. They haven't produced this year, and maybe it's the cold weather. But then on the left, I also have a different variety of strawberries that are actually white strawberries with red seeds. I got those from one of the companies to try those, and I think I'm going to rip them out. They grew and they weren't very good tasting. I might give them another year just to see how they'll do, see if they get any better taste. Just to show you the rest of my garden, I try to use all the spaces to get as much in here, just to have as many varieties as I can in a city plot. It's about 30 by 30. Here I have my blackberries. This is their 3rd year. Get some yellowing growth in there. I gotta figure that out, but have a trellis system, as these are a long variety of blackberries, and they'll grow up long and you need to keep them trimmed, and I may do a video on that. Then over here I have my faithful rhubarb that just keeps producing year after year with no maintenance. On the left, continuing around, I have a 2nd variety of blackberry, and I'll do another video to come up with the kinds of blackberries they are. To remember that. But then again, another bushing type of blackberry, more like a Marionberry is what it is. And then I have a flowering plant there, and then there on the left is a 4th kind of blackberry. So trying to get as many kinds of plants as I can and get them growing.